Hi guys, it's me, ChazzaHD, and welcome to another Grand Prix weekend in 2021. It is, of course, the 2021 Dutch Grand Prix, the first Grand Prix in Holland and at Zandvoort since 1985, and how great it is to be back at a circuit that really is great. I mean, if you watched practice yesterday, you'll see evidence of that. Fantastic track, plenty of great corners, the fast corners especially. Very, very exciting to see the cars taking to those. And yeah. So far, good race weekend. Friday was eventful to a certain extent. Sebastian Vettel having an engine failure and having to put his own car's flames out. Lewis Hamilton also had a problem. And then we had Ferrari 1 and 2 in practice 2. So, yeah, very eventful Friday practice. And we've had also quite an eventful morning so far in the F1 world before practice 3 has even begun. So, we'll first get into the practice 2 results, and then I will get into, those two bits of news and anything else. But, yeah, just want to say before I get into the practice 2 results, hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully after the joke that was the Belgian Grand Prix, you are, refreshed and now ready for, hopefully, racing this weekend. And, yeah, no matter what time it is in your part of the world, no matter what day it is in your part of the world, hopefully you are having a very good day. Now, let's get into the results of practice 2 from yesterday. So, Ferrari, like I said, 1-2 in practice 2. Charles Leclerc top by a tenth and a half. He was the only man to get into the 1-minute 10s with Charles Leclerc. Looked very quick in practice yesterday. Carlos Sainz second. And then Esteban Ocon in third place, Bottas fourth, Verstappen fifth, and then Alonso 6th, Gasly 7th, Norris 8th, Giovinazzi 9th, and Vettel 10th. Very surprising top 10. I still think Mercedes and Red Bull, have the quickest cars, because with Ferrari, I'm still not quite certain that they will be able to maintain what they were doing in practice yesterday. But I think, given the way the track is, it's definitely helping Ferrari's performance, but also the lap being shorter means that the differences between the big teams and the smaller teams, or the, say, quickest teams and the slower teams, isn't as big. So I think that's why the top 10 you see is very all over the place. And Lewis Hamilton was P11, but Hamilton only did 3 laps in practice 2 yesterday, and then Perez 12th, and then Tsunoda, Stroll, Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Schumacher, Latifi, Mazepin, and Russell complete the rest of the order in practice 2. And of course, we'll see in practice 3 whether Ferrari and also Alpine, whether those two teams who I would say have probably in aerodynamic terms, maybe not the 2 best cars in aerodynamic terms out of that midfield pack, but probably 2 of the best 3. I'd put probably McLaren in there as well. But yeah, around this circuit, which definitely requires very good levels of downforce, those 2 teams looking very good so far. But now, with 10 minutes or so to go, let's now get into the breaking news. So, there's actually a couple bits of breaking news with the first person we'll get on to. And the first person, of course, is Kimi Raikkonen. So, if you didn't know, firstly, Kimi Raikkonen has announced he will be retiring from Formula 1 at the end of 2021, which, of course, is a shame, but I could see it coming, and I think he even said in my qualifying watch-along, it was definitely in the highlights. I don't know if it was in the highlights last week, but I remember saying it, that given his performance this season and given how bad the car is and how bad the team is and how far behind they are, that Kimi really had come to the end of his time. So, like I said, it's a shame, but at the end of the day, Kimi Raikkonen was never really heading for anything better than what he is, what he's in right now. So I think he's made a good and smart decision to call it quits at the end of the season, and was hoping, I think, Raikkonen to have a good Dutch Grand Prix, but he won't be having a good Dutch Grand Prix. The reason is because he won't be taking part at all. because he tested positive for COVID. It was announced this morning. I don't know if he tested positive this morning or if it was last night. I don't know for sure. But he has tested positive, meaning that Kimi Raikkonen is out of this weekend's Grand Prix and Robert Kubica will be taking his place. So it will be Robert Kubica and Antonio Giovinazzi, the two drivers at Alfa Romeo for practice 3, qualifying, and the race as well. So a shame for Raikkonen, but yeah, those are the rules, and just fell foul of it, unfortunately. Now, that is Kimi Raikkonen. I'm just going to quickly check if there's been an announcement on this next piece of news, because I think it's pretty a slam dunk in terms of this certain thing. Haven't seen any confirmation as of yet, but we think that Max Verstappen is heading for a grid penalty of either it'll probably be 3 to 5 places. The reason is because, and the video, if you want to see it, the video of it, if you go to my Discord link that takes you to my Discord server and join the server, you'll see in the general chat a streamable link of Max Verstappen committing said offence that is, I think, going to get him a penalty for his home Grand Prix. And it's him, when Lewis Hamilton broke down, it is him overtaking Lance Stroll, of course, in the Aston Martin, under red flag conditions. Now, Lando Norris did this in Austria, I think, and he got a 3-place penalty, I believe. And I think, that's pretty much been for the last 3 or 4 years the norm. If you overtake someone under a red flag in practice, I'm pretty sure it's an automatic 3-place penalty at least. So I think Max Verstappen is almost certainly going to get a penalty for the Grand Prix. So, of course, pole position is what he needs if he's going to win his home Grand Prix. And, of course, does hand Mercedes an advantage if they can qualify, say, second and third with both cars if Max Verstappen is indeed on pole position, if he does get the penalty, which he really should. I don't really see how Max Verstappen can get away with it, and if he does, then I am going to call major bullshit on it, because there's just no way you can, if you watch and I think they're showing on Sky F1 now, so if you are watching Sky F1, you'll be able to see. So when Hamilton breaks down, Max is overtaking cars, but then when the red flag comes out, and they're going to show it soon, but yeah, when the red flag comes out, he goes past Lance Stroll at I think the end of the second sector time beam. And yeah, they're just showing a replay of it now. So he comes out of that little hairpin, and then the red flag then, I think, comes on halfway in that straight. And then, yeah, he then overtakes Lance Stroll. So yeah, like I said, I think Max Verstappen heading for a penalty, which is a shame. But at the end of the day, it's clear-cut, and he has to get a penalty for that, because it's the rules. You're not allowed to overtake another car under red flag conditions, because a red flag, of course, is always brought out in the case of a car or a dangerous situation on track, and a car, say, being unable to be cleared away without marshals coming out onto the circuit. So that is why we had a red flag for Lewis Hamilton's car yesterday, because they couldn't get it off the circuit, and yeah, Verstappen should get a penalty for that. And I will await confirmation as to if as to the penalty for Max Verstappen. No confirmation as of yet. Verstappen, I think, did see, I don't know if he's currently seeing the stewards, this Max Verstappen, or if he saw them an hour ago. Just having a check. Yeah, he's. I think he's just seen or just seeing the stewards. Oh no, he's just seen the stewards. They're just showing on Sky F1. So Max Verstappen just has attended the stewards room. But yeah, Max, I think, heading for a penalty there. But 4.5 minutes to go until practice 3. And yeah, we're heading for, I think, a very exciting session to see what's going to happen going into qualifying. I think the biggest thing to look out for in this session, without doubt, is Ferrari. Can they keep up the brilliant performance of practice yesterday? If they can, then we're in for a very exciting session later on, especially with Max Verstappen possibly having a penalty in terms of what the starting grid is going to be for the race tomorrow. And by the way, don't worry, the weather radar says sunshine for today and tomorrow at Zandvoort. So don't worry, we are not heading for another washout and another waste of time, which is what we had last weekend. As the F1 intro is now playing. And yeah, the session will be underway very, very soon. So I'll just read some comments quickly. Hello to everyone in the chat, by the way, and hello to everyone watching. Sharan says, I think maybe Albon may return to F1 at Alfa Romeo. That is the big rumour at the moment. Also, it seems as though Russell is essentially confirmed to be going to Mercedes, with Valtteri Bottas, by the looks of it, heading to Alfa Romeo. So we'll keep an eye on that news. Is Hamilton going to get a grid penalty? Asks Silverback. Not heard anything about that as of yet. No, don't think so. Don't think Lewis Hamilton will be heading for a grid penalty. I think it was an oil pressure issue for Lewis Hamilton yesterday. And people saying in the chat, well, he only passed him with 2 seconds gone in the red flag period. Doesn't matter. If you pass someone during a red flag, it's a penalty. Automatic. And he did have time to not overtake him. It's not like he was right next to him when the red flag came out. By the way, not very warm at the circuit right now. Only 16 degrees Celsius, 26 degrees track temperature. The reason I think for that is because we are next to, at Zandvoort, a beach. So the wind speed, 11.5 kilometers an hour. And of course, at a beach, the wind is always going to be a factor. Say if this track, or compared to, say, a track that was in the middle of a country nowhere near water. Silverback says, I don't know, Chazzy, your rain out race call was baller. Thank you very much for that. Just trying to see if there's anything else I can quickly read. Silverback says it could be Bottas in the Alpha. Doubt Merc will let Bottas go to a legitimate team. I think they're definitely trying to help him secure a seat, which I admire, because some teams just, you know, will let drivers fend for themselves in the wilderness. But Bottas definitely deserves a seat. I mean, he's absolutely, like I said, I think last week, he's absolutely good enough to be in Formula 1. And any notion that he's not is just absolutely ridiculous. As obviously a very strong contingent of Max Verstappen fans. But the news, I think, today is not going to be very good for them once the penalty surely is announced. I don't really see how the FIA can't give him a penalty, to be honest. And I think if they don't give him a penalty, then I'd have to honestly suspect some sort of, you know, not biased, but some sort of foul play. Not on the side of Red Bull or Verstappen, but on the side of the FIA, because, you know, just because it's Max's home race does not mean he should get away with an obvious breach of the regulations. So I'm just hoping, after the debacle of last week, that the FIA don't continue with farces. Anyway, let's get the graphics ready for you guys, and pull that down, and also pull that down as well. Of course, the left hand side, that's not the running order, Right, now, let me just get the session timer up. If you are new to Formula 1, practice 3, an hour long, just like every other practice session. And there you go. I think I've got it synced up bang on. If I haven't, then I'll get rid of it in just a moment. But practice 3 is underway at Zandvoort. And the first car on track is Kimi Raikkonen's replacement, Robert Kubica, who I don't think has ever driven here before. Yeah, first car on circuit. I think the second car now is a Haas car. But yeah, Kubica will be keen to get in as many laps as possible so he can get a good feel for the circuit and just how things are. And let me just see if I've got the timer synced up correctly. Pretty much. As Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari still waiting to go out. And like I said, coming into practice 3, that is the team we need to be looking out for, really. Because as Lewis Hamilton comes out onto the circuit early, of course, the reason is because he only did 3 laps in practice 2 because of his issue with the power unit. But yeah, like I said before this session, the performance of the Scuderia will be the most intriguing thing of this session. If they can maintain that speed in this session, then I think for sure they will be contenders for pole position later today at Zandvoort as Robert Kubica begins his first timed lap of practice 3 and comes through, turn 3, I think there, which very banked, of course, type hairpin type corner, with the outside line always being favourable there. As also we have Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda on circuit. All, Mick, Yuki and Lewis are on outlaps, and Robert Kubica and Nikita Mazepin are on a timed lap at the moment. And I've just realised that I've got Raikkonen there in the running order. Of course, I haven't accounted for what do you call it? For Raikkonen being replaced because of COVID, so I'll have to figure out some sort of way to fix that. I think I can, but I'll have to wait on that. As Kubica, by the way, does cross the line and go quickest with a 15.8. So I'll just quickly put Raikkonen's position up. Of course, he is not in the car, but I'll just put that up there. And then I'll try, in my programming, to try and fix that. Just a moment. Because, of course, we don't want Raikkonen on there when, of course, he isn't even at circuit, I don't believe. And I'll just put Mazepin up into second. As Lewis Hamilton now on a lap. And, yeah, Nikita Mazepin second at the moment to Robert Kubica. There you go. And, yeah, I'll just quickly see if I can find how to get the, get rid of Raikkonen's name there. Right, I'll have to figure that out in a moment. Need to get into this session, really. As Lewis Hamilton, by the way, has gone P1 by 2 seconds. Of course, he's the only real big runner that's gone out on track. Got very close to he did clip some of the gravel on the entry to, I can't remember what corner that is. It's, I think, the third to last corner in the entry to like the the stadium section of the circuit. Yeah, he's currently in P1, and then Mick Schumacher has gone up into second place. But yeah, I'm going to try, guys, and fix the, Raikkonen being there. Of course, we don't want that. And Sonoda has gone into 5th place at the moment. But, yeah, I'll just quickly, if I can, try and fix that. And I'll try also and keep an eye on whether Max Verstappen will get a penalty, which he should. Oh dear. Oh dear. So no further action confirmed. No further action for Max Verstappen after overtaking under red flags in FP2. This is a massive L. A massive L for the FIA. Stewards, this is the stewards' comment. It is our conclusion that the driver of car 33, being Max Verstappen, took every reasonable action to comply with the regulations in that he immediately reduced speed in a safe manner at the earliest opportunity upon the first indication of the red flag, which is complete bullshit. So there you go, guys. Max Verstappen not got a penalty. Of course, I don't want to see, I don't want to see Max Verstappen fail. I don't really care if he fails or not. But how he's not got a penalty there is quite astounding, really. Yeah, that is incredible. Absolutely incredible how that has happened. But anyway, I'm going to just quickly try and find how to, put Robert Kubica's name on the screen. As Daniel Ricciardo is currently on a lap, by the way, on the medium compound tyre, so is Robert Kubica. And right, I'm going to try and fix this quickly. As Ricciardo now comes to the line, and Daniel Ricciardo will go up into second position, will Ricciardo. So Daniel Ricciardo up to second. And Kubica is in, well, he's now in 5th place. Of course, it still says Raikkonen. Just trying to quickly fix that. Let me see. Oh no, let me see what happens. Right. Can't get it fixed, then I'm going to have to try and figure out some alternative here. Right. No, that's not it either. Right, well, I don't know quite how to fix that. So, I'm going to have to come up with a solution. So let me just quickly fix up a solution for you guys. Right. Yeah. What I'm going to do, and I know it sounds simple, I'm just going to put Kubica's name over the top of Raikkonen there. Will that work? No, not really. So Yuki Tsunoda, by the way, is up to 3rd place. We've only got Lando Norris is now on a lap. He's in a purple first sector and a green middle sector. And Norris now comes to the line and he goes up into 2nd place. Does Lando Norris. So there you go. And now I'm going to have to just try and do it like that, I think. Sorry about this, guys. Massive apologies, but I tried to, change the names in the order, but I just can't find it. So I'm going to have to just use that overlay for Raikkonen. And what I'm hoping is, no disrespect to Robert Kubica, but it would be nice if he dropped to the very back. So then I'd be able to just, keep it at the bottom and not massively in the way there. But yeah, sorry that I can't put Kubica's name up there, but this is, as good as it's going to get, unfortunately. I can't fix it right now, as we've got Antonio Giovinazzi and Fernando Alonso now on the circuit. But I've got to say, I'm absolutely astounded that Max Verstappen has not got a penalty. Absolutely astounded. When I have seen worse, not worse, I've seen, let's say, what do you call it? I've seen people overtake under red flag conditions in, say, safer or better ways and still get a penalty than what Verstappen did. I'm not saying what Verstappen did was necessarily unsafe, but he literally overtook another car under the red flag. So what has gone wrong with the FIA? Seriously. They've just forgotten about rules. And we're now, by the way, on an ad break on Sky F1, so we'll just wait till they come back. But I'm gonna read what you guys have to say, because yeah, I'm a bit lost for words right now, to be honest, because like I said, it was a pretty slam dunk thing. Just, yeah. I'm just saying, so, just, sorry, looking at, Twitter, just to see any more news on this. But it says, this is from someone on Twitter who has quite a bit of followers, saying on the F1 TV, they just played out an onboard camera from Verstappen's car. During that red flag situation, it was clear that the dash didn't light up until he was already passing. So there you go. I'm gonna have to review personally the footage, to be honest. But if that is true, that he, his dash did not light up, then you have to give him the benefit of the doubt, because it's pretty. I mean, that's why they have the flags come up on the dash, because it's pretty hard when you're going at such speed sometimes to see a red flag and that. So yeah, I think if that is the case, that his dash did not light up with the red and say red flag, then I think you've got to let Max Verstappen off there. I mean, if it did come up and he just did it anyway, then yeah, definite penalty. But I didn't know that. So, of course, when new information is presented, you have to, change your view on something. But, yeah, I'd say no penalty if that is the case. I have to look back at it, though, to be absolutely sure. And I'll read what you guys have to say. By the way, hello to Andrew Melvu, who says, good afternoon from sunny South Africa. Bonebox Chicken says, sounds like a total home decision. Some may say that incident at the British Grand Prix was a home decision and Lewis may have been black flagged. And then other people talking about, the home crowd thing. I mean, it definitely does have an effect, without doubt. Home crowd and the pressure and all of that. As Charles Leclerc, by the way, goes P1, it definitely does have an effect, for sure, on the stewards. I think Austria 2019, they took a very long time deciding whether Verstappen knocked Leclerc off the circuit, and I think that was because they didn't want like a massive fan backlash physically at the circuit. And then you had Monza 2019, where I felt Charles Leclerc should have probably got a penalty for squeezing Hamilton off the circuit. Even though it's still a bit of a close one and a 50-50, I still thought Leclerc went a bit too overboard. And, yeah, obviously didn't get a penalty there, which, of course, at the Italian Grand Prix, very rare that you're going to see Ferrari given a penalty for anything unless it's an absolute obvious slam dunk. As just seeing a replay here of Charles Leclerc on the exit of turn 12, just catching some grass on the exit of the corner as he rode over the exit curb. And he continues on his way. But it is currently Alonso in P1 on a 1 minute 11.7. Then Leclerc second, Norris third, Sainz in fourth, Hamilton fifth. And then you have Giovinazzi, who it looks as though is out of Formula 1, unfortunately, is in... he's not in fifth place, he's in sixth place. And then you have Sergio Perez in seventh. Of course, I'll get rid of that Kubica thing in just a moment. As Sebastian Vettel in the gravel trap there on the exit of turn 10, I think. Yeah, he was. Caught a lot of oversteer on the exit, possibly in the wind, and went through the gravel, but he is back on circuit and looks fine. Just have to go for another lap there. Yeah, Perez is seventh, and then Pierre Gasly is in 8th place, and here is a replay of Vettel at turn 10. And just on the exit of the corner, put the throttle down, and the car collected oversteer. Like I said, it could have been that wind. Like I said, 11.5 kilometer an hour wind speed. And yeah, hits the apex fine, but the car just oversteers into the gravel. So definitely could be a factor there. And yeah, Gasly, by the way, as I continue to do the order, Gasly is in 8th place. Ocon is 9th. Ricciardo is 10th. And then you've got Lance Stroll in P11. And then Yuki Tsunoda 12th. Russell is 13th to the Williams, of course. Finished 2nd last weekend, even though there wasn't a race. So, Russell 13th, Latifi 14th, and then Schumacher 15th, Mazepin 16th, and then let me just drag this down. Put it there. So, Kubica is in 17th. And then you've got Vettel 18th on a very slow time, about 15 seconds off the pace. So 20 minutes in, Alonso leading from Leclerc, Norris, Sainz, Hamilton, Giovinazzi, Perez. Perez, talking of him, has gone up into 3rd place. Sergio Perez is up to 3rd in the Red Bull. Yellow flag in Sector 1. It is an Alfa Romeo by the looks of it. Or is it? No, it looks more like a Ferrari in Sector 1. Oh, big crash. Big crash. Red flag. Red flag. Obviously, I'll keep the timer running because the timer keeps running during a red flag period. But there's a big accident into turn 3 for Carlos Sainz. Car very much destroyed. And he looks to be okay. I mean, it's not that quick of a corner, fortunately. But he has really destroyed his car. The front end especially ripped off, really. Carlos Sainz, after looking so good yesterday with his teammate Charles Leclerc, has seemingly thrown it all away because that car is going to take a lot of fixing and might incur a grid penalty. And by the way, Carlos himself is fine. And here's a replay. So, into turn 3. And, well, that is quite surprising. So, I hope they show it on board. So, he goes into turn 3, and the car just snaps. The rear end just snaps on him and puts him straight into the wall. Let me see if he clipped any curb. No. Was nowhere near the entry curb. The car just snapped on him, sent him straight into the wall. So, maybe a bit trigger happy on the throttle. Maybe he just used a bit too much through the exit of the entry of turn 3 to get him into turn 3. I don't know, but that's done a lot of damage to his car. And he is now out of the session. By the way, the reason I've not put red flag on the screen is because the timer for the session is still running. So, yeah, might as well just leave it there so that it stays synced up and in place. But the current order you see on the left-hand side is as it is. And by the way, again, sorry for having Kubica name written over Raikkonen's, but I didn't expect Raikkonen to be out of the Grand Prix this weekend, which is why that is as it is there. But yeah, Ferrari and the mechanics have now quite a job to get his car fixed in the next 2.5 hours for qualifying. By the way, morning to Dexter from Jamaica. What did I miss? Says or asks Dexter. Well, Kimi Raikkonen's not taking part in the rest of the weekend because he has COVID. So that's why on the left-hand side you can see Robert Kubica's name in 17th because Kubica is racing this weekend. And Carlos Sainz, like I said, has just had quite a big accident. And he is out of the session. He won't be out of qualifying. I don't think that's enough to put him out of qualifying, but that might incur, because he went in rearwards, that might incur a gearbox penalty. It was quite a hefty whack. He went side on, but it did turn into almost a rearward accident for Carlos Sainz there. And like I said, an absolute shame there. Sainz, because he was looking just so good in this session. As Alonso was the slow car he passed on the entry into turn 3. Oh, hello to Richard Reed in Barbados. As it's 6:22 a.m. right now. Thank you for the commitment and thank you for tuning in. Also, thank you to Smith John, who says hello from Vietnam. Thanks for the stream. And yeah, now Skype will go to an ad break. So I'll try and read some of your comments whilst we wait for the session to get back underway. Erin says, I wonder if Alpha want 2 new drivers in 2022. I guess they have a known variable if Bottas joins, so not 2 rookies for the new year. By the looks of it, Alfa Romeo are going for 2 new drivers, and if the rumours are true, it looks as though it's going to be Valtteri Bottas and Alex Albon at Alfa Romeo in 2022, which is a good lineup. It's not a lineup that's really gets me that excited, to be honest. Because they're not really, no disrespect, but Valtteri Bottas and Alex Albon aren't exactly exciting drivers. But in terms of quality, it is probably that tad better than Raikkonen and Giovinazzi. I actually think Raikkonen and Giovinazzi is a good partnership, and I think they are a lot better than where where the results have shown them to be this season. I think the majority of that clearly is the car being poor, especially in qualifying trim. I do believe Giovinazzi is better than Alex Albon. I think definitely is quicker than Alex Albon. I think Bottas, though, I don't think Bottas is as consistent and reliable, especially in a race situation, as Kimi Raikkonen. But in terms of pure speed, I think Valtteri Bottas is quicker, which is why I say I think Valtteri and Albon, compared to Kimi and Antonio, I think Valtteri and Alex Albon is just a tad better. But, you know, they're not really getting a lineup that is going to massively move them up the grid. The only way Alfa Romeo are going to move up the grid is if they make a better car. Because, yeah, that driver lineup, if that is the driver lineup that we see in 2022, it's not going to make a massive difference if Alfa Romeo are still barely getting out of qualifying 1 in 2022. Cam Wallace says the track is so poor for overtaking. Whoever gets pole should win it. Could be a procession like Monaco. Yeah, I think whoever gets on pole really should be winning the race. Even if you don't get that great of a start, the outside line at turn 1 is a pretty good line to have. So I think, yeah, as long as you have pole position here, I think race victory really should be very much something that you can, absolutely accomplish. I think, though, what we'll see in the race is, I think we'll definitely see, like, DRS trains, for sure. I think we have 2 DRS zones around Zandvoort. The straight in between turn, obviously the last corner in turn 1, but also the straight in between turn 10 and turn 11 is the second one. And I think what we'll see is in the midfield, I think we'll see probably a DRS train. And then I think later on in the Grand Prix, once all the pit stops are made and you have, people pitting at different times, I think what you'll see then is you'll then start to see some overtaking with people on fresher tyres, softer tyres. If there's a safety car, which I think is likely, given what we've seen in, seen so far. And given also that the track is so tight, like I said, I think a safety car is absolutely very likely. Yeah, I just think that we could later on, like I said, in the Grand Prix, see some overtaking. But I do think that, if the first 20 to 30 laps of the Dutch Grand Prix, I think it's a 72-lap race, the Dutch Grand Prix tomorrow. If the first 20 to 30 laps aren't that great, then please do stick with it. Because, like I said, I think the race will come alive later on. Because I think fresher tyres, especially around this circuit, will be a massive advantage for anyone who has that. And I think they will be able then to make overtakes work. So, yeah, look out for that. And I think the first lap especially tomorrow will be very exciting because of how tight the track is. And you actually can, though, despite the track being so tight, you can go wheel to wheel in plenty of corners. As, by the way, we're back from the ad break, and Still, I think we have a red flag at the moment. What happened to Max? Why is he 20th? We're currently in a red flag. That's the reason I'm not showing the red flag text on the screen is because the timer is still running, and I'd rather keep the timer running. But yeah, we are under red flag conditions, I believe, at the moment. And, well, not anymore, as we're now 30 minutes to go in this session. Well, the session is going to resume in about 1 minute time. Yeah, Max Verstappen at the back, because I don't think he has even done an outlap as of yet. And, of course, he wants to conserve his Red Bull car for later on. And the important bit of qualifying. But, what was I going to say? I can't remember. Oh, that's right. Just wanted to let you guys know, as the session, I think, has restarted, even though the timer is still running. So 29 minutes to go. Just want to let you guys know the schedule for today. So, of course, I will be live later today at 1:30 p.m. UK time for the qualifying watch-along for the Dutch Grand Prix. So make sure to come along to that. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell for that stream coming later on. And also, smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. But also, remember, I will be uploading, like I did last weekend, highlights of the qualifying watch-along. This time, if the session does finish about on time, which would be 3 p.m. UK time, then I should have the qualifying watch-along highlights out by 8 p.m, maybe 9 p.m. at the latest instead of midnight. The reason they were out a bit later last time was because there was a football match on that I wanted to watch, and also I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to make it, and now I know how I want to do the highlights in terms of a video. Now I know it's going to take a certain amount of time. So yeah, if the session does finish at 3 p.m. UK time, then the qualifying watch-along highlights, the best bits of the stream, should be out by hopefully 8 p.m. at the latest, sometime between 8 and 9 p.m. for you guys to catch up on the best bits of the stream and the highlights of qualifying. And of course, I'll be doing the same at the start of next week as well. And of course, tomorrow will be 3 streams for you guys. A race preview at 11 a.m. UK time, a race watch along at 1:30 p.m. UK time, hopefully with Nib, and then a race review, if there is hopefully a race 2 review, at 7 p.m. UK time. So again, don't forget to sub for all of that content and hit the notifications bell so you're notified as to when that all comes out or goes live. And like I said, smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. As we are back out on circuit and we have plenty of cars out there trying to improve their positions. As we are looking at the moment, Max Verstappen, of course, the home driver, I think, on his first flying lap. As currently Sky F1 talking to Christian Horner on the double screen. As Verstappen now coming through turn 4 and 5. Now through the very long right-hander of 6 and 7. And now he comes through turn number 9, which is a 90-degree right-hander. Now into a very long turn 10, which is kind of a hairpinish corner. And he's now closely following an Aston Martin of Sebastian Vettel ahead. Gets past him as the crowd applauds Verstappen through. Verstappen driving very well on this lap as Kubica has just climbed a couple of positions. I'll update that in a moment. Once Max Verstappen goes most likely into P1 with this lap, as he has a slipstream ahead. And yep, he does go into P1 by half a second on a 1:11.2. But reminder that, well, saying that, Valtteri Bottas now goes P1 by 8 thousandths of a second, also on a 1:11.2. Just wanted to say, though, that remember, that isn't the quickest time of the weekend so far. The quickest time of the weekend was a 1:10.9 from yesterday. So they aren't pushing or going as quickly as they could yet. We're yet to see really that improvement from the field. So let me just throw up there Max Verstappen into second place. And if that was to finish in qualifying, that top two, if that was to be the case in qualifying, Bottas on pole and Verstappen second, that would be absolutely vital to Mercedes and their title effort. As the Dutch crowd doing the Mexican wave, celebrating him being up in second place, as Pierre Gasly is now up in third position. Interesting to note, though, Valtteri Bottas did his time of a 1:11.2 on the soft tyre, and Max Verstappen did his on the medium, so Max Verstappen can go quicker. Probably not much quicker, say 2 or 3 tenths at most, but yeah, Verstappen could go quicker if he was on the soft tyre. And Max is looking good here. As I think Max is now on another flying lap as Valtteri Bottas has come into the pits. But yeah, Gasly's up to third, Alonso fourth, Leclerc fifth, Perez sixth, then Norris, Sainz, Hamilton, and Giovinazzi, then Ocon, and then Schumacher is up in 12th. And Verstappen, yeah, purple first sector for him. Ricciardo is in 13th. By the way, it's Stroll 14th. And then Mazepin is in 15th. Tsunoda 16th. And Russell, Latifi. And then Vettel. And then Kubica is now at the very bottom there. As Max Verstappen also now has done a purple middle sector. So surely he is going to go P1 with this. And he comes to the line. And he does with a 1:10.7. He was only 0.003 of a second away from getting into the 1:10.6s. So Max Verstappen does the quickest lap of the weekend so far on the medium compound tyre, which is very impressive, because that means that on the soft, he could probably grab an extra 2 or 3 tenths of a second, as Lando Norris goes second in the McLaren. Be interesting to see how Norris gets on after Spa, where he could have had pole position, which could have turned in, of course, or probably would have turned in to the race win. But, of course, made that mistake in qualifying. It's Verstappen, Norris and Bottas, your top three. Then Gasly, Alonso, Leclerc, Perez, Sainz, Hamilton, Giovinazzi. Mazepin has just gone up to 13th place ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo now in 14th. Just trying to see if I can position this Kubica text in a better way over Raikkonen's name. And get it in line with the text there. There you go. That's better. So Kubica at the very back, of course, which is not a surprise because he, has not really driven that car, I think, for quite a while. Sebastian Vettel has jumped up into 12th place. The Aston Martin. Aston Martin don't really seem to have any real speed this weekend, which is not a surprise because this circuit shouldn't really suit them. But you would be hoping still that they could surprise us, but by the looks of it, they cannot. As there you go, Max Verstappen in P1. And just seeing if there's anyone else out on track about to finish a lap. Pierre Gasly is. Can he go any quicker? No, he cannot. Gasly a second off the pace. He was only a 10th slower than his previous best, or his personal best rather, lap time. Still wasn't good enough, as Fernando Alonso now is on the soft compound tyres and a purple first sector as Fernando Alonso. And now comes up to the middle sector, and he is only 0.07 of a second slower than Max Verstappen. Verstappen, of course, on the medium, but this is a good lap from Fernando Alonso as he comes through turn 13 and now through the banked turn 14. Norris also setting about the same time as Alonso so far, and Alonso goes up to P1 on a 1:10.6. So a 1 second gain there for Fernando Alonso. And Norris, he comes to the line now and goes, oh no, he stays third, but he improves to a 1:10.7. So I was actually thinking, because of the shorter lap, that the soft, or the medium to soft time gain wouldn't be as big as it would normally, but it seems it's quite a lot. By the looks of it, it looks to be about a second if you get the lap right and don't really make any mistakes. So it just shows you that Max Verstappen absolutely, because he's on the medium tyre, does have the pace. And Mercedes with Valtteri Bottas don't really have any real speed, because Bottas is half a second slower on the soft. The Verstappen is on the medium. So yeah, that is a big, big problem for Mercedes, and they have got to improve, because that is not, that cannot be tolerated, that type of performance, especially when they are in a world championship battle. Intriguing to note, though, when it comes to Mercedes, and it was actually on my info ticker in terms of stats and that, in the build-up to the session, Mercedes have only won 4 races this season. 4 races. That's all they've won. Bahrain, Portugal, Spain, and Silverstone. Every other race has either been Red Bull, Alpine, and I think that's it. I don't think any other teams won a race. No. As Esteban Ocon jumps up to 4th place. But it just shows you how, compared to other seasons, how poor Mercedes have been. Only 4 race wins in a season, and we're in, what, race 12, race 13? And Red Bull, I think, are on about 7 or 8 wins this season. So, really, given that, you'd have to say that the team who should be the favourite would be Red Bull. As a yellow flag in Sector 2, and it is Lando Norris in the gravel trap. He is now back on track, though. He was in the gravel trap on the exit, or entry, I'd say probably entry, to turn 9. So, may have locked up and just gone a bit too wide into that corner. We'll see a replay in just a moment. Yeah, Esteban Ocon, as you can see on screen, is now in 4th place, and here we go. So Norris through turn 8, and no, just turned in, and the car just oversteered. Didn't really seem as though he carried in too much speed, because it's not like he it's not like he sailed past the apex. He went to go into the apex, and the car just veered and oversteered into the gravel. So I'm going to guess maybe, again, the wind playing a bit of a factor there. But yeah, I think with 16 minutes to go, I think Mercedes have got to show more here, because if I'm Mercedes or a Mercedes fan right now, I'd be very concerned with the lack of pace that they have, or seemingly have, at the moment, as Antonio Giovinazzi goes into 8th place in the Alfa Romeo. Looking good for him. Very quick so far. as Russell and the Williams rounds the final corner, the banked turn 14, and comes to the line, and he will go with this lap into 6th place. Great lap there, only 0.6 of a second slower than Fernando Alonso. So Russell up into 6th place. And the only cars on track right now are Kubica, Ricciardo, Leclerc, Giovinazzi, Russell, and Ocon. Latifi, Kubica, and Leclerc are on an outlap, so we'll see what they can do in regards to an improved lap time, hopefully in just a moment. But so far, I mean, Ferrari haven't really shown their hand so far. Charles Leclerc, I'm hoping, is out on the soft compound tyre now because his best lap time so far has been on the medium. But so far, Alpine look as good as they did yesterday, and it's not really a surprise because this circuit should suit their car. But Ferrari haven't quite shown the hand yet, but I have a feeling that they also will be pretty good, as Daniel Ricciardo goes from 17th all the way up into P4, finally showing some good speed in the McLaren, joining his teammate up in the upper echelons of the field. And only 1/4 of a second off the pace of his teammate, which is a lot more respectable than it normally has been in 2021. We have a very exciting and unusual top 5 with 13 minutes to go. Alonso, Verstappen, Norris, Ricciardo, and Ocon. And just a replay of Ricciardo bumping over the entry curb of turn 11, then into turn 12. That part of the circuit is kind of reminiscent to Mexico in certain ways. And actually, the final corner is like the old final corner at the Mexican Grand Prix circuit, the Pelotada. So yeah, very reminiscent of that circuit. As Valtteri Bottas is now on another flying lap on the soft compound tyres. So let's see what Valtteri Bottas has. He takes that very wide line through turn 3 where whenever you watch the cars through there, you always think they're about to have an accident, but then you remember that that's just the line through that corner as Kubica goes up to 17th. Giovinazzi goes back up to 8th, ahead of Gasly and Leclerc. Valtteri Bottas, by the way, has done a purple first sector, which is a lot more like it. I'll just update that Kubica is up in 17th place now, as Charles Leclerc does improve his time, but he only goes into 4th place. So there you go, as Nicholas Latifi jumps all the way up from last to 6th in the Williams, as Valtteri Bottas has done a purple middle sector. Well, not anymore because Lewis Hamilton has, but Valtteri Bottas has now gone P1 by half a second. That is a lot more like it. And now finally, Mercedes are showing the pace that they need to have if they're going to fight for pole later. As now Lewis Hamilton jumps up to 2nd, but 1/4 of a second off the pace of teammate Bottas. So Bottas is P1, and Hamilton is in P2. And then you have Nicholas Latifi is up in 8th. See, the top 10 is Bottas, Hamilton, Alonso, Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Ricciardo, Latifi, Ocon, and Russell. Then Giovinazzi, Gasly, Perez, Sainz, Vettel, Schumacher, and then Stroll is 17th. And let me just move Kubica's name down. There you go. So Kubica is currently in 18th position with, 11 minutes to go in this session. As Max Verstappen, by the way, is on an absolute stonker of a lap. Purple first sector, purple second sector. He's currently half a second up on Bottas on this lap so far. Now gets a slipstream from his teammate ahead, and Max Verstappen goes P1 by half a second and into the 1 minute 9s. It's a 1 minute 9.6. And surely, if he can replicate that speed later on, surely Max Verstappen is heading for a home pole position. I know still we have a full qualifying session to come later on, but that lap, to me, seems pretty ominous going into qualifying. So Verstappen P1, Bottas second, Hamilton third. Hamilton, by the way, 0.8 of a second slower than Max Verstappen. Sebastian Vettel, by the way, has just gone up into 6th place in the Aston Martin, as Kubica has jumped up to 16th, as Gasly goes from 13th to 8th. AlphaTauri don't seem to be that quick this weekend, which is not really a surprise, because similar to Aston Martin, they don't quite have the downforce levels that Ferrari or Alpine do to really excel at this type of track, as Sergio Perez is up now in 4th place in the Red Bull, and Perez about 0.9 of a second behind his teammate Max Verstappen. And I'll just update that Kubica is now in 16th position. There you go. With Schumacher 17th, and then Stroll, Mazepin and Tsunoda. Lance Stroll seems to be having quite a struggle so far, getting used to this track. Charles Leclerc's on another flying lap with 8 minutes to go. He has not improved his first sector. Let's see if we can improve the second sector. The Ferrari does look very good around this track, but in terms of pure lap time at the moment, it's not that impressive. 8th and 15th at the moment, as Leclerc has also not improved his second sector, so this is probably not going to be an improvement on lap time. It doesn't seem as though you can really do too many laps on a soft compound tyre, and I do think in the race that the soft tyre is definitely not going to be a tyre you want to be on because of the long corners here at Zandvoort, as Leclerc did do a personal best final sector, but overall did not improve his lap, as Lance Stroll, who is in 18th place, now comes through turn 13. Yuki Tsunoda jumps from 20th up to 16th. I'll update that in a moment as Lance Stroll comes to the line, and Lance Stroll goes all the way up into 7th place. So Lance Stroll showing some good speed there. And Alfa Romeo also showing some good speed towards the end of the session, even though I still don't think they quite have the pace ultimately, as Tsunoda now, I'm pretty sure, is 17th instead of 16th. And Kubica now in 18th position. And yet that is the case with the two Haas's at the very back. As talking of Kubica, he's on another lap. He's done plenty of laps in this session, which of course he has to. And now rounds the final corner, opens the DRS, and where will Kubica go? He stays in 18th place. But credit to him, he's only 1/10 of a second slower than Yuki Tsunoda right now. And, well, he's about a second off the pace of his teammate, Antonio Giovinazzi. But he's not doing too bad, especially considering as well his lack of mobility in, is it his right hand, I think, that he has the lack of mobility. He's doing pretty well at the moment, is Robert. As we enter the final 6 minutes of this session. And here is a onboard cam of Mick Schumacher in the Haas. He was improved his first sector. We'll see if he can improve his lap anymore. Understeer City into turn 9. And into turn 10. Very slow looking compared to the rest. Having to really just wait for the car to grip up. Doesn't have the confidence to just throw the car in. Well, he tried to throw the car into turn 11 and ended up in the gravel. And he skips turn 12 and gets going again, but kicks up a load of gravel onto the circuit, which I'm sure the other drivers will thank him for. As his teammate, Nikita Mazepin, goes up to 19th. Two Haas's pretty close to Tsunoda and Kubica on lap time, but still stuck where they normally are. And yeah, I think just was too aggressive throwing the car in, and the car just couldn't cope with that demand, which is why it went through the gravel. Got to say, Williams are looking pretty decent, 12th and 14th at the moment. And yeah, Williams definitely looking as though that they're probably the best out of that three teams at the bottom. Not just in the championship, of course, but also on pace. Sorry, they're looking, yeah, pretty much the best out of those three teams, and it has been really the case in the last 2 or 3 races that Williams, especially on a Saturday, have been definitely quicker than Alfa Romeo and Haas. I think obviously the power unit Williams has does help, but I think the Williams car generally just looks better, more consistent, and more free-flowing through the corners, as Charles Leclerc is on probably his last flying lap of the session before qualifying, as he now comes through turn 3. Can he improve from 9th place, which is quite poor considering he was P1 in practice 2? You would expect Leclerc to be really around Perez and Alonso in 4th and 5th place. He has improved his first sector. Still, though, 0.4 of a second down of Verstappen after the first sector alone. Shows you how quick the Red Bull is in the first sector. Now into sector 2 and into turn 10. And sector 2 pretty much is now over, as he now passes 2 slow cars on the entry to turn 11. He's not improved his middle sector, and he just goes straight on because of the distraction of the 2 cars next to him. And Charles Leclerc will have to either do another lap in a moment or just abandon this lap and retire to the pits for this session, as it is pretty much clear skies at Zandvoort. And will Leclerc... No, Leclerc will come back into the pits, as it was an AlphaTauri and an Aston Martin. And I think he could have turned in to the entry to turn 11, but I just think he didn't really feel as though he had the focus to. And it was actually the 2 AlphaTauris in tandem, and that's what sent Leclerc straight down the escape road and aborted that lap. As just trying to see if there's anyone improving out there with 2 minutes to go. Don't believe so. And yeah, I think everyone now is just coming out for a quick installation lap, as we're entering now, like I said, the final 2 minutes of the session. So now we're pretty much done here. Just going to quickly go through the order. So Max Verstappen P1, and by the looks of it, you'd have to say Max Verstappen is the clear favourite for pole position later on. The home crowd willing him on, and also the Red Bull does look very good. Bottas second, Hamilton third. Hamilton has got to step his game up. He's not really got at it so far this weekend. Perez fourth. As long as Perez qualifies in the top 4, that's good enough. And then Alonso fifth. Alonso looking very good. Norris sixth, always very good over a single lap. Aston Martin improving late on to 7th and 8th, but I don't think they have quite the pace for that when qualifying comes. Leclerc 9th. I think Ferrari can go quicker, but we'll have to see whether, compared to Alpine and McLaren, they do have legitimately good enough pace. Gasly 10th, Ricciardo 11th, Latifi 12th, Ocon 13th, and Russell 14th. Watch out for Williams in qualifying. I think they could possibly get both cars into Q2. Giovinazzi 15th, Sainz, of course, in 16th. Sainz, of course, crashed out of practice 3. And then you got Tsunoda, Mazepin, actually, in 18th now. Let me just quickly update that. And then Kubica in 19th. And I don't think Kubica's done that bad, to be honest. Not great, but not that bad. And then, of course, Mick Schumacher at the very back. But with 10 seconds to go, we'll just see out the end of the session. As Verstappen's just touring around, pretty much waving to the crowd. And there you go. The session is over. And again, I'll go through the order quickly. Max Verstappen, P1 from Bottas, Hamilton, Perez, Alonso, Norris, Stroll, Vettel, Leclerc, Gasly. And the rest of the order, Ricciardo, Latifi, Ocon, Russell, Giovinazzi, Sainz, Tsunoda, Mazepin, Kubica, and Mick Schumacher. Guys, remember, I will be live in an hour and a half from now for the qualifying watch-along for the Dutch Grand Prix. So don't forget to come along to that and hit the notifications bell. Subscribe to the channel for that. It'd be great to have you along for that. And also, like I said, later on tonight, there will be a highlights video from the qualifying watch-along, the best bits of the stream. So don't forget to, as well, watch that later on. Don't forget as well to smash a like button, share this video and channel everywhere you can as well. Don't forget to join the Discord server, link below in the description. That's the best place for notifications for my videos and streams. And also, very active server. We have, I'm pretty sure, just under 500 people in that server. And it's very active, whether there's a race on or not. So if you want to join that server and have some debates, then go for it and join our growing community. But guys, until qualifying and until the qualifying stream in an hour and a half, it has been me, Chazza HD. Goodbye.